Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin FFA here, or Luna. Shit. Sorry, I was stuck in the wrong year. This is Austin here, or Luna. What's good, guys? Hope you're doing good. Now, before I jump into today's story time, I just want to say a couple things. Number one, this is just a story time, entertainment purposes only. Do not ever try to recreate something I talk about in a story time for your own safety, please. Anyway, also, I'm also going to be live on Twitch pretty much every day from this point forward, so if you like streaming, feel free to drop a follow on my Twitch. It'll be first link in the description, and I'll be live when this video goes up for a couple hours. But anyway, today's story time I think is a pretty crazy one. It's kind of similar to one that I told a couple days ago, but it's a lot different in many aspects. Now, the topic of today's story time is Molly water. Now, Molly water is something that I've accidentally ingested before. You're probably wondering, Austin, how the hell did you do that? Well, I'll link that story time in the description below if you want to check that out first or after this video. But this story time is a little bit different from that one, okay? So this story time takes place in 2018, so a couple of years ago. I was hanging out with a friend of mine. Let's just call him Josh. All right, now Josh, he loved Molly. Like, that man was a festival fiend. That dude would go to as many music festivals as he could, and he would ingest Molly every time he had the chance. And this dude was always begging me to take it with him. And I'd always say no, because simply I didn't want to. I didn't like taking that stuff. I didn't like knowing where it came from. Like, I just didn't want to take any chances whatsoever. So I'd always tell him no, and he'd always beg me. Like, every time he was about to go to a festival or a concert, or just take it for fun, he'd always beg me to do it with him, and I'd always say no. Now, one day, I'm at his place, it's the beginning of summer, and me and a bunch of other friends are at Josh's apartment, playing video games on his TV in his living room, and we're all just sitting on the couch, talking, and Josh keeps hyping up how he's about to take Molly later that night, and how he wanted all of us to do it with him, and everybody except one person said no. So it was going to be Josh and our other friend that'd be taking the Molly that night. Now, they didn't say how they'd be taking it, they just said they were going to be doing it that night for fun. So I didn't think much of it. I went about just playing video games on my friend's TV with the rest of my friends. Now, my friends didn't plan on taking the Molly until later that night. They were going to do it real late at night. So for the meantime, they were just hanging out with us completely sober. And we're all hanging out in the living room. And no joke, for the next 2 hours straight, my two friends kept begging me to do this with them. They were like, yo, Austin, come on, we need a third, bro. Like, you got to come hang out with us and do this. Like, come on, bro. Like, tonight, one time only, just please. And I kept saying no. I'm like, dude, nah, like, it's not for me. I'm not trying to do that right now. Please, just leave me alone. And they wouldn't stop. It was really crazy how persistent they were being. So I try and distract them from bothering me about this. So I say, yo, let's all go outside and skate around the city. And all my friends were like, yeah, let's do it. Now, my friend Josh loves skateboarding, so he had tons of boards in his guest room. They weren't the nicest boards. They were all pretty beat up and some of them waterlogged, but we used those. We all grabbed a board out of his guest room. He grabbed his, and we all went into the street to skate. Now, after like 30, 40 minutes skating around the city, I told Josh, I'm like, yo, I'm so thirsty. Can I go back to your place and grab some water? He's like, yeah, come with me. So me and him skate back to his apartment, and he goes into his room for like 5 minutes, which should have been the number one warning sign that I shouldn't drink this water. And he comes back out with a thermos of room temp water, which was like just so weird to me. But at the same time, I was thinking, like, you know, he's probably one of those people that doesn't like to buy bottled water because it gets expensive over time. And he also likes the environment a lot. So he probably just uses a reusable thermos. So he gives me it. He tells me it's clean and it's full. And I just start chugging away because I was so thirsty from skateboarding. And I got like halfway through this thermos full of water. And he's got this smile on his face. I'm like, Josh, why are you smiling? He's like, nothing. He starts laughing. I'm like, bro, what do you put in this fucking water? He's like, nothing. He starts laughing even harder. So I go in the sink and I dump it out because I don't trust him. And he goes, yo, why would you do that? You just wasted my money. I'm like, what do you mean your money? It's water, bro. The thermos is fine. He's like, no, bro. There's Molly in that. So, of course, upon finding this out, I start bugging on him. I'm like, yo, are you fucking serious? I throw the thermos at him. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, you know how fucked up that is? And he's yelling back at me saying that I just need to have a good time and relax for once. So I grab his skateboard, pissed as hell, and I leave his apartment and I start skating back towards my house. And when I was leaving his apartment, one of my friends noticed me leaving and me looking angry. And he followed me on his skateboard and he's like, yo, what happened? I'm like, dude, I just got drugged. He's like, what? I'm like, yep. I asked him for water, took me inside, gave me a bottle of water saying that it was just normal water. And yeah, it had Molly in it. Now, keep in mind, this is the same dude that was going to do the Molly with him later that night. He's like, bro, fuck Josh. Like, that's so messed up, bro. Like, I'm not doing that shit with him anymore. Like, we're good. Like, let's go back to your place. I'll spot you, make sure you're all good. He's like, I'm sure you'll be all fine, but how much did you take? And I told him, I'm like, I don't know how much was in it. I just drank half the bottle, and then when he was smiling and laughing at me, I dumped it out, and that's when he told me there was Molly in it. He's like, all right, so you probably didn't even take a full dose. You'll probably be fine. So me and him skateboarded all the way back to my house. It was like a 45-minute skate ride. And when we get back to my place, we go inside, and of course, when we get inside, that's when it started to kick in a little bit. I started to feel a little bit more, strange and a bit more just different. And that was probably the Molly talking. Luckily, like my friend said, I didn't really take a full dose because I drank half the bottle, and he probably put a full dose in that bottle. But yeah, me and my homie just hung out at my house, and actually the rest of our friends skated over as well because he texted them about the whole situation. So everybody except Josh came to my place, and we all just hung out and listened to music and played some Xbox until everything blew over. And I was okay, luckily. That's the good thing about this. I was fine. And the next day I woke up to a call from Josh. I answer it. I'm like, yo, what do you want, dude? He's like, bro, I just want to say I'm sorry. Like, that was my bad. He's like, you can keep my board. You could take it as a sorry from me. Like, I just want to, make things right. I'm like, all right, man, I appreciate the apology, but what you did was a little bit fucked up. He's like, I know, man, like, my bad. And yeah, after that, we didn't hang out much, me and Josh. I see him here and there from time to time, but we don't really hang out like we used to because, well, sadly, I just don't trust him very much after he slipped that in my water after I was tired from skating. But yeah, in the end, I was fine. That's all that matters. I'm all good. But yeah, moral of the story is, do not do what Josh did. Don't be like Josh, ever. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace. Waste my life, I can't escape.